Like, this is the goal. The goal is to create literally a digital god. And it's going to be controlled by not us, not the collective human race. It's going to be controlled by a select few group of people. And that's weird. Like, and we're just trusting them.
The next fight seems to be about surveillance, privacy, your own rights, what rights you'll have. But Anthropic's a creepy. These are creepy companies. You know? I mean, they're just creepy. How does this system survive this level of information? People are not gonna.
Do you think that this whole race to AI, this like Manhattan Project style race that's going on right now, like the future of whatever the United States is kind of depends on us getting there first? Right? If China gets there first, if control of resources and everything's shut off, like whatever, what if it's weaponized?
My worry is that in the guise of fighting China, we're going to become China.
Okay, so watch this. Joe Rogan sees the whole thing. He'll sit there and describe it perfectly. A digital god, controlled by not us, just a handful of people, and we're all just trusting them. He calls the companies creepy. He says the next big fight is surveillance, your privacy, your rights. The guy gets it. He sees the cage, and then China comes up, and watch what happens. Joe hits Tim with the big one. The whole race to AI, the Manhattan Project thing. Does the future of America depend on us getting there first? And Tim doesn't even flinch. He just goes, my worry is that in the guise of fighting China, we become China. One sentence. And Joe just kind of nods and goes, yeah, and that's it. That's all he's got. Nothing, man. And honestly, that little moment right there, that's the whole episode. Because look, for months now, we've been watching guy after guy walk into that studio and just say the quiet part out loud. You know, the billionaires, the surveillance, the wars, all of it. And every single time Joe does the same thing. He either shuts it down, or he changes the subject, or he does that little thing where he goes, huh, I've never heard of that. Theo Von did it. Duncan Trussell. Cam Haines. Same story every time. But Tim just walks in and lays the whole thing out on the table. And this time Joe can't do anything about it. He just sits there and takes it. And I mean it. Watch his face the whole episode. The guy's cornered, and he knows it. And there's one moment coming up where Joe asks him a single question. And the second it leaves his mouth, you can watch the switch flip in real time. He doesn't even know he's doing it. We'll get to it, I promise. But first you gotta see what Joe already knows, because that's what makes that one question so damning.
Well, the amount of power that tech companies have in general is unprecedented. There's never been corporations. I mean, unless you go back to like the East India Corporation that, you know, you go back in the day where they had like an enormous army. You know? And they took over India and Pakistan. And but if you look at what they're doing, it's very different than that. You know, other than the army part, what they have is robot armies. And then they have AI, which Elon just recently said is going to be like 1 million times smarter than the smartest human that's ever lived. The problem is going to be if you can't demand, if you don't have a voice anymore. And this is the potential nightmare scenario that we're seeing play out slowly in England. It seems like if you put people in a corner and you get them scared, this is what we learned during COVID. Like, they will back down. They'll go along with a lot of stupid shit. They'll trust the government, which is wild. The left is the people that trust the government.
Well, all right, so let me be fair to Joe for a second here. Like, 1 second. Because honestly, this is the part that makes the whole thing worse. The guy's not dumb, right? He's not doing the whole Silicon Valley thing where AI is just, you know, cute little robots writing your emails or whatever. He gets that it's about power. And on his own show, it gets spelled out plain as day. Like he already told us. They're building, literally, a digital god. And it's not going to be controlled by you or me or the human race. It's a select few, a handful of dudes. And Joe's right there going, yeah, right. He's not confused. He's not pushing back. He's agreeing with it. And it's not like he can't see it himself either. He's the one who already said it. Look, the next big fight, it's not the culture war stuff anymore. It's going to be about surveillance, about privacy, about what rights you've even got left. That's him saying that. So the guy gets it. He sees the cage. So like, that should just be the end of the conversation, right? That should be it. If a handful of billionaires are out here building a literal god, the very next thing out of your mouth should be, yeah, okay, maybe nobody should have that thing. But that's not where he goes. And this is the part I really want you to watch. The switch flips. When the bad guy is big tech or it's the government, Joe's locked in. He's suspicious. He's sharp. He's the guy you remember. But the second the bad guy becomes China, all that skepticism just kind of melts. Watch him settle back into the chair. He gets comfortable because now it's a team sport and he knows which side he's on. And that's the trap. That's the whole trap. We stop asking, should anybody have this thing at all? And we start asking, well, what if the wrong people get it first? And the second that becomes the question, Joe's already in the cage. He's already standing inside it like a fool.
But if you scale that out 100 years from now, what are you looking at? You're looking at a god.
Well, it'll be less than 100 years. I mean,
So you're looking at a god in 50 years?
less than that. I mean,
China has a way of figuring out what we're doing and copying it. They're pretty good at that. Impossible to imagine that it wouldn't be of national security interest to get there first.
The question is what's there? We are in a technology race, and we are always in a technology race. We've been in a technology race with somebody forever. World War II was a technology race. Manhattan Project was a technology race. We've been in a technology race ever since.
And before somebody in the comments goes, bro, you're reading way too much into one podcast. No, I'm really not. Because this isn't a one-off thing. This is a pattern. And once you actually see it, you cannot unsee it. Like, go back and watch his other AI episodes. The Kurzweil one, Joe's sitting there while this guy's calmly describing AI turning into an actual god. And Joe's kind of into it. He's fascinated by it. But then China comes up and all of a sudden his fears got a direction, you know? It stops being, what if this thing is too powerful? And it turns into, what if they get it before we do? And then Jensen Huang, same exact move. Now it's a race. It's national security. It's a thing America's got to win. Except watch. Huang doesn't even hype it. He shrugs. We're always in a race since the Manhattan Project. And Joe takes that shrug and runs with it. Same frame he reaches for when he's sitting there with Tim. Almost like somebody handed him the script, right? And look, I get it. I get why it sounds reasonable. That's the whole problem. Obviously, nobody wants some authoritarian regime holding the most powerful weapon ever built. Obviously. Of course. But that's exactly why the pitch works so well. Because nobody's going to sell you a surveillance state by walking out on a stage and going, hey, we'd love to control you now. That's never going to land on a guy like Joe. What lands on Joe is someone worse is already building it. And here's the thing that kills me. Joe, of all people, should know better. His own voice got cloned into fake AI podcasts. He's watched this stuff melt reality in real time. He sees the cage, and he just keeps signing up for the race anyway. And that's the whole problem. Because once you accept the race, you accept the speed. And once you accept the speed, you accept the whole infrastructure. And by the time it's all built, the only thing left to even argue about is who gets to hold the key.
Do you think it also has one of the factors might be that they want conflict? The more conflict people have in the streets, the less they're going to pay attention to what the government's doing?
Well, 100%.
Yeah.
I also think the more chaos in the street, the more likely you're going to be willing to accept
New laws,
new
surveillance
technologies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going to just say, I want peace.
Yeah.
And I don't care how we get it. If the people in those countries don't like it and they express, that on social media, they're going to get kicked off. And if they organize in the streets, they're going to use, military authority to fire water cannons at them or shut them down or use gas or whatever. And if there's a genuine resistance movement to some of it, they're going to infiltrate it and turn it into some psychotic thing,
Right.
which they do all the time. It's hard to look at this and not see a design. And I don't quite know exactly where the design comes from, but it's odd that this is all happenstance, because everybody knows it's happening and people are afraid to talk about it. The reality is that eventually they're going to go, do you want safe streets? Do you want food? Do you want a little bit of money? You got to do X, Y, and Z. You got to believe X, Y, and Z. People that want them in the most, I think, are not even the people bringing them in. They're being used.
Right. They're suicidal empathy.
Their empathy is being weaponized. It's being used.
Gad Saad
People,
talks about it.
right. So people that are manufacturing this reality are using those people. They'll try to find comfort, and they will listen to people that they deem to be worthy.
So this next run is basically Tim just handing you the instruction manual for how they sell all this stuff, and he's not even being subtle about it. And it's simple. Scared people accept things. That's the whole trick. That's it. You frighten people enough and they'll swallow anything, right? New laws, new tech, more cameras, more control, whatever it is, as long as it makes the scary things stop. And here's the kicker. Joe agrees with him. Like, watch him nodding along through this whole part. People back down, they go looking for comfort. They'll even trust the government, which Joe says like it's the most insane thing he's ever heard in his life. So he knows it. He knows how the whole mechanism works. He knows fear is the delivery truck. He knows chaos is what buys the permission. So then somebody's got to explain to me, why does all of that just vanish the second the fear is China? Because it's the same playbook, man. It's the same exact thing every single time. There's crime, so it's more cameras. There's terrorism, so it's more monitoring. There's a cyber attack, so now it's more data sharing. China's coming, so now it's this whole national AI race that nobody's allowed to slow down. And nobody ever actually says the word surveillance state, right? They go, oh, we're solving crime. We're protecting kids. We're stopping fraud. We're making sure China doesn't win. And you just nod along, because of course you do. It sounds totally reasonable. And that's the point. That's the entire con right there. And then all these nice little reasonable pieces just kind of quietly click together. The cameras feed the databases, and the databases feed the AI, and the AI feeds the policing, and the policing turns into risk scores, and your risk score is suddenly attached to your speech and your money, and where you're even allowed to go. And by the time you step back and actually see the whole machine, you already said yes to every single piece of it. That's what Tim's warning everybody about, and Joe knows it, which is exactly why it's so infuriating to sit there and watch him, because he knows fear sells the system, and then the second the fear is China, he just picks the sales script right back up.
So there's a system called Flock, which is one of our companies. And what they do is kind of like in the movies. You take all the municipal cameras and traffic cameras and everything, and you feed them into an AI, and the AI is able to first find a license plate in real time. So you can find that. But second, you can actually find a car even if you don't have the license plate. So you can find like distinct markings on the car. It'll track the car. And it solves crimes every day. We get reports on carjackings with kids in the back seat, and their lives get saved because they track them down.
So the concern is mass surveillance, right? And the concern is that someone's going to abuse this and use AI for nefarious purposes, right?
Yeah. So this is a system. This is a system that could be used in bad ways, right? So bad people could use it in bad ways. And so if you had a corrupt, chief of police, and he had some personal entanglement thing, and he wanted to track a, X whatever, or if you, the mayor, wanted to, do this to terrorize your political opponents or whatever. Like if you had, corrupt city officials, then they could use it for bad things.
But like a blockchain, pull that sucker so it's not on your chin. Push it forward a little bit. Yeah. Is there a blockchain for Flock so you could know who's doing what and how it's happening so someone couldn't abuse it? Is it possible to circumvent that?
It's why cops have to get a warrant before they search somebody's house, right?
Right.
There's always the question of like, what is the legal authority and what are the safeguards that protect this kind of thing?
Yeah, robot staff.
And then you've got 10, right? And then you've got, 100.
Connected to Flock cameras. And the government is watching everything you do from inside your house.
And this is where that Andreessen episode really matters, because it's the same exact trick, just in a smaller package. So watch how they sell the surveillance here, right? It's carjackings getting solved. It's kids getting saved. It's people bleeding out in the street while nobody comes to help them. And obviously, nobody wants that. That's not the point. I want to be super clear. That is not the point. The point is the framing. Because once you tell the story like that, anybody who questions the text suddenly becomes like pro-carjacking, pro-crime, some heartless ideologue who doesn't care about real people getting hurt. Come on, man. That's such a cheap move, and it works every single time. And here's the part that gets me. Joe actually names it. He goes, the concern is mass surveillance. The concern is somebody abuses this and uses the AI for nefarious purposes. And it's like, yes, exactly. That's the concern, Joe. You literally just said it. And then what does he get back? Safeguard, legal authority. Oh, it's just like cops needing a warrant. And we've heard that 1,000 times. Every surveillance system in history launched with safeguards. And it never matters. Because the second that infrastructure exists, it belongs to whoever's holding it next. And here's the kicker. You don't even have to take my word for it. Hours later, same chair. Andreessen just says it himself, out loud, like he's talking about the weather. Robot staff in your house, hooked up to the Flock cameras, the government watching everything you do from inside your own home. That's the whole cage, described by the guy selling it. And Joe, he doesn't stop him, doesn't push, doesn't go, wait, what did you just say? He just lets it sail right by. Same nod, same right, same, I've never heard of that. And then nothing. Whether it's Andreessen selling him the cameras, or the whole China thing selling him the entire cage. It's the exact same move every single time. That's the pattern, man. And that's exactly what Tim Dillon's about to walk straight into.
And this is the potential nightmare scenario that we're seeing play out slowly in England. So
Right.
in England, their freedom of speech has been suppressed to an alarming point where people are not freaking out nearly enough about it. The amount of arrests that people get over there for fucking retweets and likes. The reality of the world they live in is not being represented, and they're not allowed to complain about it online. Because if they complain about it online, they get arrested.
Right.
So right now it's for immigration primarily. This is the big one. But that could change. Right.
So what they're doing now is they're policing certain words and I think certain ways of speaking, and they're calling a lot of things an incitement to violence. Now, some things clearly are an incitement to violence.
Right.
So what they're doing now is they're policing certain words and I think certain ways of speaking, and they're calling a lot of things an incitement to violence. Now, some things clearly are an incitement to violence. They're basically looking at these statements and going, this person is inciting violence and threatening the public good by what they're saying. This is blowback. There's blowback when you shut down conversations, and in order to shut people up, you got to pay them or kill them. That's the only way to do it.
Now, this next part, I know, it sounds like it's just a free speech rant, but it's not. It's actually still about surveillance. It's the next level of it. And notice who kicks this one off. It's Joe. He's the one going, people can't even complain online anymore without getting arrested. So he sees this part of the cage too. He sees all of it, man. The surveillance, the speech stuff, the whole thing. Which is exactly what makes the China moment so insane when we finally get there. Because surveillance isn't just cameras and license plates and scanning your face, right? The real prize is your mouth. It's what you're saying, what you're sharing, what you're liking, what you're joking about, what you're angry about, who you follow, what you dare to even question. And once you put AI in charge of the watching, it doesn't need to understand you the way a human would. It just needs to stick a label on you. And that's the scary part, honestly. Because a person hears sarcasm and they get it. A person hears a bad joke and goes, oh, okay, that's a bad joke. The machine doesn't care about any of that. It just tags you. Risky, extreme, unstable, non-compliant, potential threat, whatever it decides. And once that label's on you, stuff just starts happening downstream that you never even see. Your post gets buried, your account gets flagged, your payment gets reviewed, your name ends up in some file you're never even going to get to read. And maybe nothing dramatic even happens, right? Maybe you just quietly start editing yourself. You don't post the thing, you don't ask the question. And that's the real power of the whole thing. It changes how you act before anybody ever even has to punish you. And hold on to that, because that's exactly where this whole episode is about to land.
And this is the potential nightmare scenario that we're seeing play out slowly in England. So
Right.
in England, their freedom of speech has been suppressed to an alarming point where people are not freaking out nearly enough about it. The amount of arrests that people get over there for fucking retweets and likes.
I think part of it
If
is
we don't
that,
get there first, then it's probably a wrap. If you really thought about it, like if China gets
Sure.
there first, if control of resources
It
and
really
everything's shut
depends,
off,
sure.
like whatever, what if it's weaponized?
My
Like,
worry is that in the guise of fighting China, we're going to become China.
yeah,
You know,
don't-
so
yeah.
I would take the government a lot more seriously if they weren't, potentially having saying Palantir should merge all these different government databases.
Mm-hmm.
So your health data and your criminal justice data and your tax data all merges. And who's doing that? Palantir. It's a little bit of gaslighting in that sense too. They're like, if China gets all this stuff, you're all going to, we lose. And you go, okay. So it's almost like China will enslave you. Let us do it first.
Okay, here it is. This is the moment I promised you all the way back at the top. So just listen to how Joe kicks it off. Manhattan Project. Does the future of the United States depend on us getting there first? That's the frame right there. And it sounds serious, right? It sounds responsible. It sounds like grown-up adults in the room type talk. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Because the second you swallow that frame, every other concern just gets shoved off the table. Privacy? That's a luxury now. Merging every government database together? Well, necessary evil? AI surveillance? Oh, that's a strategic advantage now. And anybody who object, well, they just don't get the threat, do they? That's the trick. And it's a good one. I'll give them that. Because the trick was never to convince you surveillance is good. It's to convince you it's unavoidable. And Tim clocks it instantly. In the guise of fighting China, we become China. One sentence, and the whole frame's just on the floor. And watch Joe. He doesn't even fight it. He just nods, goes yeah, and keeps it moving. Like Tim didn't just blow up his entire premise right there in front of him. And then Tim names it. He goes right at it. Palantir. Your health records, your criminal record, your taxes, all of it merged into one profile. And just listen to Joe through this whole part. That's it. That's all he's got. The most curious man in podcasting. The whole I'm just asking questions guy. And suddenly he's got zero follow-up. Kind of weird, right? And then Tim says the line that, honestly, Joe should have been the one to say. The whole pitch just becomes, China will enslave you, so let us do it first. And that's the game, man. That's the entire game right there. And this is what compromise actually looks like. Not because Joe comes out and says he loves surveillance. He doesn't. Not because he says trust the government. He doesn't do that either. He looks compromised because he's still thinking inside the frame. He still treats the race like it's real and urgent and like maybe we don't even have a choice. And once you accept the race, man, the debate's already over. We're not even asking should this thing exist anymore. We're just fighting over who gets to hold it first.
They're so afraid of having an independent thought because they've been programmed their entire lives. They don't realize it. They've been programmed their entire lives to believe a certain set of things, and their self-worth depends on those things mattering.
It acts like a cult, and you have to kind of go along with every aspect of it, or you'll be excommunicated.
Yeah.
You'll be kicked out, just like you get kicked out of Scientology.
And that, to me, is one of my biggest problems with a lot of people that I speak to is that they seem genuinely afraid to use their mind for more than, what the allotted functions are.
You mean afraid to express themselves?
Yeah. They're
Well, there's
afraid to
a lot
even
of that.
entertain thoughts in their own head.
They want to avoid the punishment.
Yeah.
You know, it's a scary punishment. Everyone's going to be on their best behavior.
That's right. Everyone's going to be on their best behavior. We're going to be watching them. You heard that quote.
Yeah.
And then they button the whole thing with a joke. Watch this one. Joe goes, everyone's going to be on their best behavior. And Tim goes, yeah, we're going to be watching them. And they both laugh. But that laugh, that is the whole thing. That's the point. Because that's exactly what surveillance does, right? It trains you to behave before anybody ever has to lay a finger on you. A system like this, it doesn't need to kick your door in every single morning. It doesn't need some big dramatic announcement that freedom's over. It just needs to sit there in the background long enough that you start like adjusting yourself. You think twice before you post. You think twice before you click. You think twice before you say the thing you actually think. And then eventually, that's just normal. That's just how it is now. Best behavior. Man, it sounds so harmless, right? Sounds like order. Sounds civilized. But like, what does it actually mean when people are only behaving because they know they're being watched? That's not freedom, man. That's just conditioning. And this is the thing. This is the exact future that Joe Rogan is supposed to be the most paranoid guy on the planet about. Question the powerful. Question the institutions. Question the billionaire who tells you he needs a little more power for your own good. That's his whole brand. That's the entire thing. And Tim Dillon just found the one button that walks straight past all of it. China. That's it. That's the button. Make it about China. Make it about survival. And all of a sudden, the most skeptical guy in podcasting stops asking, why are we even building this? And starts asking, well, can we really afford not to? So look, let's just call it what it is. Rogan exposed himself right here. And not by like coming out and going, I support the surveillance state, because he didn't. That's not how any of this works. And honestly, that's what makes it worse. Because this guy can sit there for 3 hours straight nailing every single talking point. Big tech, government overreach, the digital god, the little guy losing his voice. All of it. And sound like he completely gets it. And then the word China comes out of his mouth, and he just starts talking like the exact people who are building the machine. Because compromised, it doesn't have to mean there's some secret text message, or a handler, or a billionaire in a bunker feeding him his lines. Sometimes it just means the pitch work. And with Joe, the pitch is so stupidly simple. You make it about China. You make it about survival. You make it sound like America's got no choice. And he accepts it for 1 second, and the whole conversation just flips. And now we're not asking why Palantir's anywhere near your medical records. We're asking whether America can afford to fall behind. We're not asking why the defense contractors keep getting the comfy chair on the show. We're asking whether we need them to win. We're not asking whether regular people are about to get watched and scored and sorted by a system they can't even see. We're just asking, yeah, but is China worse though? Come on. That's the trick. That's the whole entire trick. And Tim said it right to his face. In the guise of fighting China, we become China. And Joe's got nothing, because what's he gonna say? Tim was right. And everybody in that room knew he was right. And that's why this episode matters so much. Because Joe's entire brand, the whole thing, it's questioning power. And what we just watched is what happens when power finally finds the one fear he won't question hard enough. Because if Joe Rogan of all people can look dead at the AI surveillance cage and still catch himself arguing that we should build it here first, man, imagine how easy this is going to be to sell to everybody else. It's not going to show up as control. It's going to come all wrapped up in way nicer words. Public safety, national security, innovation, staying competitive, protecting Americans, beating China. And by the time anybody actually clocks what they signed up for, it's not even going to feel like a takeover. It's just going to feel normal. Everybody on their best behavior. Everybody's watching what they say. Everybody just kind of pretending it was unavoidable the whole time. And maybe that's the real ending here. Joe didn't miss the cage. He just showed us, step by step, exactly how it gets sold. Sign off anyway. That's me. That's the video. If it made you think, do the usual. Smash the like, hit subscribe, all that. And genuinely, tell me down in the comments, do you actually think Joe believes this stuff, or does he know exactly what he's doing? I want to know. I'll catch you in the next one.